I'll start to buzz pretty soon.
You move over.
As a senior member, I'll call the Rome Community Development Authority meeting to order at 3:01 p.m. on Thursday, February 2nd, Groundhog's Day, and he saw his shadow.
6 more weeks.
I'll start with a roll call from my left.
Jamadi here.
Asdell here.
Capel here.
Schermerhorn here.
Cool here.
Prior to moving on to approving the agenda, I'll ask for a nomination for chair.
I nominate Bill Capel to chair the meeting today.
I'll second it.
You're lucky. What did you think was going to happen?
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Item number 4, approval of the agenda for today's meeting.
Certified posting?
I'm sorry?
Certified posting?
Oh, trying to get out of it. Certify the posting for today's meeting, Thursday, February 2nd, that on Monday, January 30th, it was emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 4:05, posted at the Rome Town Hall at 3:50, posted at Quick Trip at 4:20, and posted at the Nakusa Port Edwards State Bank at 4:15. Now, I'll ask for approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Item number 5, citizen comments. I don't believe we have any this evening.
Comment cards received.
Okay, no, so we'll go on to item 6. A follow-up on recommendations to the town board for the mural of Public Works building.
So the town board took that up at their January 19th meeting, and they did move approval to proceed with a call for artists for the mural on the side of that building. So I'm just working with Public Works now to get measurements so we could include that in the call to artists. So we'll work on that and probably send some sort of draft to Jackie and Lori for review before we would put it out broadly.
Any questions, comments? All right. We're going to move on to item number 7. Update on the survey responses for the Rome Town Center main entry sign.
So I did just distribute at your seats an updated picture. Graphic House helped us with doing the words underneath instead of it saying, business park or business area. And they also showed what it would look like with those darker wood grain pillars.
Looks nice.
The back side shows those wayfinding signs, but they're just a little bit different. It would be a little bit different construction where you could take out one and replace it, or just redo the letters on those ones. They did say that if we could actually print those ourselves, it's like a Cricut machine that would print those, so you could just take them off and replace them also in the future. So that with this updated information, now I would start going around. I wanted a better picture. I hoped to do some of that this week, but it was just too darn cold.
Should wait till it's at least 10 degrees outside.
This is too
You're not
darn
working
cold.
Saturday?
Yeah. Supervisor Jamadi just brought up one item with the order of the words. Instead of it being eat, shop, play, stay, maybe shop, play, eat, stay, just so you don't get the rhyming effect at
It
the
reads
end.
a little better.
I'll start going around and asking the questions though with this, just so because it does paint a better picture, a clearer picture of what we
Definitely.
want to do. But then we can kind of work on that language if we want to alter it. I'd like the font to be just a little bit different too, so it more closely matches the Rome Town Center.
Mm-hmm.
But as a rendering, it's a good start.
It gets the idea across.
Mm-hmm.
Has this been shown to any of the businesses? Good luck. Personally, I don't like it.
Is there something that you would change about it?
I think we should leave the names up there, the business names. I think you're gonna have a lot of pushback.
Tom gave us a sense of that last meeting.
Yeah, and that was just one. Have you gotten any positive on it?
No, but I also haven't, we haven't done the
We haven't.
survey. I mean, I guess that's the piece of doing the survey, is just to ask the question.
Right, asking the questions like any survey, you get input.
So before we go too far on this part, I'd go back and get the survey done and see where they're at.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
To me, this is just too generic. It just doesn't say anything. My opinion.
If not, we'll move on to item number 8, which is the approval of the December 1st, 2022 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
I'll second with just some slight corrections. We go to the minutes on page number, let's see, 3, item 12. There's either a word missing, or maybe you just meant to put a period after language. The first sentence, it said, the latest draft survey letter to businesses was discussed. Jamie suggested that the next step is to agree to the language, period, or language on the survey, period. I'm not sure what you meant to put there, but. And then the second one would be on page number 4, item 16. Lori suggested SPEC. That was actually UWSP, which is UW Stevens Point. It's the Small Business Development Center. And then Synergy was actually recommended by Jamie, which is spelled CENTERGY. And that's actually something we may want to look at and maybe at some point have a presentation done by the new president, but it looks like they've rebranded themselves a bit, just for a notation on the side. Maybe have them have Angel come down and do a presentation and see what they can do for us. They've existed for some time, but I've yet to really see what they can do for us, and maybe with her leadership, maybe that'll evolve too, as well as with the rebranding it looks like they've done, so maybe that'll be good in the future. But just, those were the only changes I had for the secretary.
Carl, will you accept the addition of the changes?
Sure.
In your motion?
Yes.
All right. All in favor of the minutes with the 3 corrections,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion approved. I think without any further ado, we can move on to our virtual meeting with Aaron Welty.
Can you hear
Good
us?
afternoon, Aaron.
Hi, Erin.
I can. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep, and
Oh.
we can see you great too, so.
Jackie here, okay?
Perfect.
So I
So
did,
I put together. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I did allow screen sharing, so hopefully you'll be able to share your PowerPoint with us.
It appears that I can.
Great.
So, can you see it?
Yes.
All right. Let me. There we go. So I put together kind of a refresher on some of the great things about the Connect Communities program and some opportunities for you all to take advantage of that. And then some updates that we have. And then I'm also happy to have any other conversations that you want to have about your community or things that you guys are needing. Also, I did want to plug in. So I was in Tucson earlier this week for a International Economic Development Conference, and there was a gentleman from Western Iowa that was there who was very excited to be coming to Rome for what he had heard was the best trap shoot competition ever. He was looking for places to stay. So Rome came up in Tucson at a conference. So you're famous.
We like to say infamous, but
Yeah.
yes.
Well, that implies things, but you were definitely well known, so I was pretty excited. I was like, I know where that is. I have been there. So the Connect Communities program, just for those of you who might be new, the Main Street program in Wisconsin has been around for 35 years. The Connect Communities program is now over a decade old, but we had really started that program recognizing that it's hard to go from just starting to look at downtown revitalization to having the required director, budget, and everything that Main Street communities require, but there's a lot of folks out there, communities of all sizes, that are looking to do revitalization work. So our average community size in the program is about 5,500 people, so we have a lot of smaller places in mid-sized places, and we have more than 95 communities that are now part of that program. So it's a great network of people who want to talk about revitalization and public art, which we were just talking about, and all that great stuff. But it's really based on the Main Street approach, which is basically that it's comprehensive, that it's not, if we only do this, if we only build that, then it'll be done, because downtowns are always changing and evolving. It's also really based on engaging local community, business, property owners, stakeholders in what they want to see their downtown becoming. It's volunteer-based. We have 35 years of data on the activities and impacts that our communities have had, and every single community that has more volunteer hours dedicated to their downtown has more new businesses, has more private investments. We know that having more people being involved in carrying the water for downtown has economic results. It's obviously public-private partnership. We can't do anything without our private sector investors, nor can we do it without the municipal partners to help make that happen. It's also based on the 4-point approach, so economic development, design, promotion, organization, that if you can paint all the buildings wonderful colors and have great awnings, but if there's no fabulous businesses inside, people aren't going to come back. By the same token, if you have great businesses, but downtown is not an attractive, appealing place to come, it doesn't have great quality design, it's only going to be so effective, and if there's no organization to help market and coordinate and pull together those local businesses and stakeholders and bring resources to them, there's only so successful that a community can be. So the Main Street and Connect Communities program are both within our community development division, again, have been there for a decade or more. And in terms of Main Streets and Connect Communities, the Connect Communities, anybody, so you really are adjoining as a community, so anybody that is invested in your downtown is welcome to attend or participate in any of the activities that we put together. So that can be, we might, our March workshop is on capital improvement fundraising. So if you have a historical society or a library or a ice rink that are in your downtown that want to attend that, they are welcome. If we're doing a business merchandising training and you have businesses interested, they are welcome. Anybody who's a stakeholder in your district is welcome to participate. So all of those things, we put on 8 or more webinars every year, at least 3 workshops, several roundtable discussion groups. The next one is next Thursday in Medford, so not really near you, but in your direction. Online chat groups, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and then just other participation. The annual awards is coming up in La Crosse in April, so we're recognizing Connect Communities in those as well. So Connect Communities are welcome to participate in anything that we have going on. The only thing that they do not receive that Main Streets receive is kind of direct staff and consultant assistance. So we regularly hire consultants to go in and work with our Main Street communities on wayfinding plans or riverfront plans. We have an architect on staff that will work with businesses. So some of those more intensive things are what Main Streets additionally receive. And in exchange for that, they have to have a permanent director and minimum budget. I mentioned more than 95 communities. These are them. There are lots, and I'm not sure if this is the newest map. Oh, it is. I think it's mostly. So they're all over the state. We have folks of all sizes everywhere. And it's just a great group of people who want to share best practices. So a lot of our chat group is about keeping people from reinventing the wheel. If someone has learned how not to do something, that's great to share. If they have a great call for artists, or if they have a great parking regulation. We were just researching sign codes the other day. So it's a great network of folks sharing best practices and experiences. So requirements and expectations of Connect Communities is that there is a point entity, and once that point entity is who is basically responsible for sharing information that they gain with the community, is responsible for completing the annual 10-question survey in May of which is the 10 questions on, what new businesses have you had? What investment have you seen? What public and private activities have happened? How many events have you held? How many volunteer hours? Some of those basic things, which we then turn around and provide an infographic so you all can share that success with your community. It's not just for our benefit. We want our communities to be able to showcase the great success that they have had. And then at least 5 folks who are interested in downtown revitalization and willing to receive information. And then any 2 of those individuals participating in at least 2 things during the course of the year, and that can include webinars. We just know if people aren't engaged, they're not maximizing the program and not, we don't want people to waste time and money with something that's not working for them. We do have a lot of people who come back, though, even people who drop out. And that should say $200 annual fee, not $250. I'm not sure where that typo came from. And there's an annual contract at the end of the year. But basically, if you return the contract and pay the fee and attend your two things, you can remain in the program indefinitely. Or some communities opt to apply for Main Streets in the future. We have 3 communities that are doing that this year, but there's not an expectation that folks will. We know we have a lot of folks who are just like being part of the network, either because they don't have the capacity for Main Street or they don't feel that they need additional resources at this time, but it's a great place to have like-minded folks. What are some of the key things that our Connect Communities organizations do? So again, looking at the 4 points, lots of them do planning activities. So whether that's, you mentioned surveys in your meeting, so whether that's, doing the outreach and doing the engagement to get people engaged and ask their thoughts. Recruiting volunteers, volunteer management is a big thing that we focus on so that we are engaging people in the community. On the design side, design guidelines, I mentioned signage. Streetscape is a big one. Public art is something that our groups work on. Historic district, plaques, walking tours, that kind of thing. Obviously, marketing available storefronts is huge. We know that 2/3 of businesses that are looking for space will go online to do that first. And if they Google, Rome, downtown, space available, and they don't find anything, they may move on to another community, and you've never known that they were interested. So having some information online of options or space available or incentives is critical to making sure that they call you first before they just move on to another community. Local incentives, so 2/3 of the projects that our team works on in terms of revitalization and building redevelopment utilize some form of local loan or grant fund. If you inherit a 50 years of deferred maintenance in a building that you purchase, it's really hard for a small business or a local investor to overcome that hurdle. So having that local match funding is immense. Promoting renovations, connecting business and property owners with grants and loans and tax credits that are out there, helping them understand those things, because they're probably really good at running their business, but their expertise is not property development, nor should it be, so helping them with that. Promoting the district, telling people why they should visit, highlighting businesses, telling the story, all of that good stuff. Community events is a big one, joint business marketing, things like that. And then kind of on the advanced spectrum, so fundraising, capital campaigns, creating bids, hiring staff, design review, property contractor training, joint purchasing, vacant storefront programs, pop-up programs are common. Business recruitment, we have some great examples. Revolving loan funds, which I mentioned, coordinated events, tourism guides, marketing, so these are kind of all next phase. And not all communities do all of these equally, but just some ideas of what are common activities. And then we really track outcomes, because we know that for communities just getting started, it takes a long time before people really believe that it's a thing, right? How many times have there's been a plan, or there's been people who say they're going to do something? So for those first couple of years, there will be some investors and some interest, but it really takes till year 5 where people are like, oh, this is really happening. Like, people are serious and things are happening, and this is somewhere where I want to invest. And that's where we see a really surge in private investment leverage, job growth, businesses, volunteer time. Once people see that it's a safe place to invest and that is a supportive business climate, and there are people who want to help them. So some of the resources that are available, I mentioned the online chat group, which I know many of you are part of. We actually, because we were using a free software, we have reached our 500-person limit. We have more than 500 people across the state that are passionate about downtowns and want to be part of it. So we will be moving next month to the Network Wisconsin platform, which has a couple advantages. One, it will not have weird usernames that Chatter does, so you will not have to be director@guest.wec. You'll just have your username as your own email, and you can set your own passwords, which will be fabulous. The other great thing about it is that if you are part of a municipality or chamber, if you ever have to work in a WEDC grant, they will live in the same platform. So you can have your chat group here and your grant applications here, and they can all be in one place. So you will only have one username and password, which will be fabulous. So we'll be making that move next month. It will require that everybody that gets an invitation actually click on it to accept it, which we know, we hope we lose as few people as possible. We want to make it painless, but we know there will be some attrition. But ultimately, it will be a better user experience for everybody, and all the existing content will transfer over and all that good stuff. So it'll be the same thing. You can get the email digest. It'll just be on a new platform. We are having an intern this semester, so we're really thrilled that Tekla is going to be developing a whole bunch of toolkits. So at our March workshop, we're going to be launching 10 initial toolkits. So we have construction planning, we have diversity and inclusion, we have dealing with problem properties, we have placemaking, I think public art, I can't remember what the other 4 are, but we'll have 10 toolkits of volunteer recruitment and development, I think is one. So we'll have 10 of those to launch. We also have some design guideline templates that are available. We have our design idea book, which we published. And then we have about 35 years of case studies, awards, examples, and all that good stuff. If you're interested in following us beyond Chatter, the Wisconsin Main Street Facebook page or Pinterest pages are good options. All of our events are always posted on our Facebook page. So if you're interested in participating or you want to see what we have coming up, everything is always on Facebook. It's probably the easiest. We get lost in the WEDC website. And some of our other, so there's also an online directory where we save everything. So all of the webinars that we have ever done, we have recorded. They can be visited there. So if there's a past topic that, you know, wasn't interesting to you at that particular time, but you want to revisit it, that's there. These toolkits will be there. Our orientation slides, infographics, all that stuff are always in that location. First benefits available to any business and property owner within Rome's downtown. So a couple things. We do webinars on topics. So we've done them on merchandising. We've done them on lighting design. We've done them on marketing, social media. All that stuff is all recorded and in there. We'll continue to offer those trainings. If there's a topic your businesses would like, let us know. We have annual contests. Right now we have our place makeover contest. So we're looking for businesses with ugly back patios or alleys or front yards or what have you to do a place makeover. So we're going to bring in a landscape architect and some of our team to do a one-day kind of transformation of an ugly space into an active outdoor business area. But we also do business makeovers as well. And then we have a 0% Kiva loan. We are a trustee for that program. So we have a matching fund for businesses in our districts that are 50% or more women, minority, or veteran owned. So couples would be 50% women owned. And that's 0% funding up to $15,000 for a 3-year term. And so we have a lot of great businesses that have used that program to expand, add product lines, add inventory, all of that kind of thing. And there's an example down below of what we made over a yarn and coffee shop last year. And we're currently making over a popcorn shop in Eagle River, an art studio in Beaver Dam, and a boutique in De Pere. So those are our 3 current makeovers that we're running. I mentioned some training and opportunities, 3 workshops, 2 orientations. We just held one in Chippewa Falls last week, and we'll be doing another one in Madison in July, which are great overviews of how to do downtown revitalization. We do a bunch of webinars, networking events, and then basically anything else that our communities request, we try to put together. So some of the things that we're doing soon, we have an event planning and assessment. It's actually a 2-hour web seminar. It's going to be on how to design a year-long event calendar that works with your community's strategic plan and goals, and or how to impact and tweak your events so that they deliver on your community's goals. I mentioned the roundtables that are coming up. Our next 2 workshops are really relevant to a lot of partners. So capital fundraising, we're touring some projects that Watertown just did. They have 2 successful projects they just opened. We have a capital fundraising consultant that will be leading a training on how to put together a capital fundraising plan. And then we have a panel of all kinds of projects, like I mentioned, historic museums, sports facilities, public art campaigns that did successful capital fundraising. So they will be speaking. And then in Marshfield, Bill Ike from Storyville Social is going to be working with everybody that comes to actually learn how to interview effectively, how to film interviews, how to edit them, how to take photos of your subjects, to really tell the unique stories of your district and connect people with businesses and property owners so that they feel like they know these folks. And then we're sending a delegation to the National Main Street Conference in Boston, which we offered scholarships to as well. And then I did mention the need for the annual report at the end of the year. So these are the 10 questions and an example of an infographic that was used. But these are just things that we can then share with other communities. And by the same token, if you guys have a strategic plan of where you want to go, we can help you identify what realistic goals are based on what impacts other communities have seen. So I do always get the question of, well, you know, what should we do to be successful? And that's really up to you. Every community wants to be something different when it grows up, and our job is to help them figure out what they want to be. If they need help with that, we are certainly happy to come and do a strategic planning session if needed, but also just to help them set goals and benchmarks and identify some best practices to get there once they figure out what that is. I mentioned that volunteers is almost always part of it, but also you need, you know, businesses and landlords on the same page. If you don't have friendly landlords, you're not going to recruit businesses. If you don't have businesses that like to be in business in your community, it's hard to recruit others, all that good stuff. Having defined goals and then focusing on the positive. We did have one of our directors at one point, her actual business card said Chief Sunshine Blower. So we do a lot of work just, you know, telling great stories and making the case that downtowns are good investments, because we do get a lot of, well, we tried that in 1972 and we need to do it again, or people here won't do that kind of thing, which is almost never true. People love to come together as the images at the bottom show. So that's kind of my overview. I'm happy to go back to anything else or talk about local needs or anything else that you want to talk about.
If you
I know
already,
you were one of the communities that joined right before COVID, so we're looking to re-engage some of those folks and get back out there now that we're all fully traveling again.
if you already have a Wisconsin Network login, because I already needed to create one, how will it work to connect my chat to it next month?
So we'll still just send you an invitation to join the chat, and then you'll already have a username, so you'll just accept it and log in. So it'll be pretty painless for you.
Oh, great. It's
Yeah.
I agree the usernames on the Salesforce are very cumbersome. But I think a lot of us enjoyed the chat feature and got a lot out of that. It's just a good place to share ideas and get ideas from. So, if Network Wisconsin will be similar, we'll have a similar page to that, I think it'll be a nice transition.
They will be very similar. Yep. So you'll just have right now you log in and you have grant or applications, I think is the tab. You'll just have another tab that says chat or groups. I think it might say groups, and then you click into downtown. But yep, it'll work very similar. And yeah, I get at least 3 emails every week of people who forgot their username. So hopefully people will no longer have that issue.
Aaron, I had a question going back to your growth. Oh, go ahead.
What was this whole email for, where you can find the toolkit that was / downtown resources?
Yep. I'll just go.
I
There
didn't
you go.
write it down. Okay.
And I think if you put capitals in there, it does not work. So no capitals.
Okay, I've got it now. Thank you.
Sure.
Aaron, going back to your growth pyramid, you had leverage functions on there. Can you brief explanation on those?
Oh yeah. So it's looking at, I don't remember where that was in here.
It was back a ways.
So one of the
There you
things
go.
that we track is leverage for every public dollar of investments. We do track public investment because we know that if the municipal side is not investing in streetscape and infrastructure, it is very unlikely that private property owners will either. If you have really ugly curb and gutter and crumbling sidewalks and no street trees and no benches and no lighting, it's not a very attractive place to come. So private property owners are not generally incentivized to invest. So we do track private or public investment, but what we want to see over the course of a program is that that public investment is translated into making the downtown a safe place for private investment to occur, and that we're educating those property owners to rehab their property, for business owners to invest in capital improvements, kitchens, hoods, vents, awnings, you know, all that good stuff, to make the district a more economically vibrant place. So one thing that we track is, for every dollar of public investment, how many dollars of private investment are occurring in any given year, and that's what those leverage numbers indicate. So, you know, newer communities tend to require more public investment to kind of get the ball rolling and demonstrate proof of concept. But over time, that investment pays off in other property owners wanting to be part of that change and investing to join the effort.
Good, thank you. Jamie, can we get a copy of this via email presentation?
The copy of Aaron's slides, can we get the
Yep,
slides?
I'll send it to Jamie.
Thank you.
Awesome. And Aaron, you talk about volunteers. We oftentimes find the same people volunteering, and in our community, we have a lot of people in the 60-plus age bracket. We are finding a number of younger families moving in and people stepping up, but the numbers are still small. So do you have any programming or suggestions or roundtables coming up that you talk about how to grow your volunteer pool?
Sure. So one, we are putting together a volunteer toolkit, which will include some of this information. Well, a couple things. So we do have some of our smaller communities that have some new subdivisions starting for the first time. So Ridgeway is one of them, down in southwest Wisconsin. And they're actually sending a team, it depends on the day, but they'll send like one police officer and one village staff person to when new households move in, and just knock on the door and introduce themselves. And they have a list of like ways to get involved in the community, so civic and other organization volunteer opportunities. So they've been somewhat successful in like, hey, you're new here, we get involved, here's some opportunities. We have some other communities that have done new resident socials periodically, whether that, depending on how many new residents you have moving in, maybe that's like every 6 months, or maybe that's every 3 months. But just having a new resident social at some point in time to welcome people to the community so they meet each other, meet some key stakeholders, can be really effective. We just find that people don't always, especially if you have a business in town, you generally still try to join the chamber or try to network. But if you're a resident who's living in the community and doesn't maybe have those connections and doesn't have a business, it usually takes asking, right? They don't know who to ask or what opportunities might be available, so giving them that information and inviting them personally to get involved can be very successful. The other thing that we're really seeing in terms of the volunteer trends is that folks tend not to want to join committees anymore because it's perceived as a life sentence, especially some of our communities, those committees are a life sentence. And you can have work groups, like you mentioned a mural. Hey, we're going to have this mural task force. It's going to be monthly for 6 months. The mural's going to go up, and then it's going to disband. We might form another mural task force, but at least you have an out, right? So people are joining a limited time engagement for a project, and then they can work up to joining more often, but you don't really necessarily want to join forever up front. The other thing that we're advising communities to do is to say, okay, what are some jobs that maybe don't ever require meetings? What do we need people to do? Maybe we need an event photographer. Maybe we need someone to help us with social media, or to make a map, or, you can come up, I have I think a list of 50 volunteer tasks that you might not know you needed. What can we offload to a professional who's really good at that thing, right? You have a local photographer who would be a great event photographer, and you just need to ask them and say, hey, we're having this wine walk coming up. Would you take photos of that? It'll give you a free ticket to the event. And if I'm coming to, I pick on Jackie because she's the only one who has a name on the screen. If I come to Jackie and say, hey, I've heard you're an amazing photographer, will you help us out with this? She's not going to say no, because I just told her something really nice about her, and I'm asking her to donate, an hour of her time. She's probably likely to do that. So the more of those war masks you can make. Our district in Green Bay actually for a while did a really great job of having little table cards on tables when they were having events that said, we're in need of a social media person. We're in need of this. Who do you know that could help us with that? And so that people would write down names and contact information. So then they were making warm calls, right? Like, hey, Jackie said that you were a great, great with social media. Can you help us? Jackie said you were a great graphic designer. We need a new logo. Can you help us? So some of those things are really effective too.
Those are outstanding suggestions. Thank you very much.
Erin, do you have programs and help for workforce development? Attracting a younger workforce or workforce in our community, since we're resorts and kind of seasonal, attempting to be year-round, but mostly seasonal? How we can do that?
So I do not. We are working on a lot of partnerships to do that. We just did a whole round of workforce innovation grants to try to fund some creative solutions to see what works. And a lot of our partners have programs, but for every there's as many programs and options as there are needs. So I'm happy to try to, if Jamie can tell me more of what specifically you're looking to do, I can definitely connect you with other communities that are working on that same kind of set of objectives.
Thank you.
You're not alone. That's a childcare, workforce. There's a lot of that around right now. Housing.
I guess we're a water community, so we were looking, Jamie and Carl know more about this, about a survey to evaluate the impact of some of the types of boats that are using the water and how they're impacting the other people using the water and the shorelines and so forth. Do you have any expertise with people in that area that work on that sort of thing?
Oh, that's a really specific one. Rice Lake did work with a university program, actually. I don't remember which class it was, and I can get that from them. But they had a class looking at they were looking at stormwater and pollution and connections with their lake. The other potential university year is a program that connects communities with university resources for that kind of thing. So I don't know that I've ever heard of any, DNR programs or anything that do that, but some of those university partnerships seem like they might be, that's a really topic that I can see them really digging into.
We were a university 2 years ago.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, the Adams County was.
Very cool.
Adams County applied, so and was selected, and so we did get. This committee, the CDA, has been reviewing some of the housing inputs that came from that university. I think we got 3 or 4 studies that related. 4 studies that related to housing that we've been looking over. But yeah, that was a really good program, and is something in the future that we could pursue as an individual municipality. We joined Adams County when they were selected as a university.
Yeah, I will see if I can find out which community or which college Rice Lake worked with and send you that. Other questions? I mean, not that you have to have them now. You know where to find me.
Well, I think this was really helpful in, especially the reminder about the Facebook page. I think we've done an okay job of sharing we have a business alliance, and we have shared things on the business alliance, like trainings that have come up, but it's a good reminder that we could just go to the Main Street Facebook page and share from there to the business alliance, which would be a lot easier. It would already be a created event that if people wanted to join, they could join.
Yep. And if you guys ever want to host something up there or have topics that you want to see, we're always looking to make that happen. So
Yeah,
let us
we
know what
always
you
like
need
to
and we'll-
host. Yeah, we're good hosts. So
And just one final question to be sure I'm clear. The ones that we haven't had a chance to read yet from Chatter and the emails that we get from you on a daily basis, those will be stored in a database yet that we can still access those and get caught up on our reading and topics that maybe we didn't have a chance to, because there's so much valuable info out there. We'll still have access to those.
Yeah, we're going to move over at least a year worth of content.
All right.
Understanding that Pat's not older than that lots of times. Isn't
Okay.
relevant. But yeah, we'll move over at least a year worth of content.
especially like in the last couple of days too, there's been some really good ones, so it's like, oh, wow. So, great, thank you.
Anybody else? If not, Aaron, I want to thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Of course, thanks for making me part of your agenda.
It's wonderful, thank you. Nice to meet you.
You too.
If no one else has any questions, we'll move on to dates and items for future agenda meetings. A tour for the next month, March? Anything?
I wonder if maybe because we have those different University Alliance housing studies to review, just a suggestion, and we were gonna try and go over that code. Maybe we should forego a tour next month? Just a suggestion, but it's up to everybody else. It's a group decision.
Given how cold it was this week, it was good that we went this week, I think.
I'll piggyback on that idea too, but
I have no problem eliminating it for next month.
just to give us a chance on those studies, cause they are quite in-depth.
And then we'll add another update on the survey,
Yep,
business survey on the sign.
yep, and then maybe for April, if we do a business visit, the boutique market who purchased
Oh.
bison might be,
Open.
or close to being open, or maybe that we could do a
Get a
ribbon cutting or
preview.
welcoming there.
What's the name of it?
I think boutique market,
Is that the name of it?
they might make it maybe a little more Rome specific, but
Okay.
that's,
The next Business Alliance meeting is at the Old Bistro. Is there something going on there? Okay, just a vacant building at this point.
yeah. At this moment, if there are additional, and maybe they'll share when we're there, if there's additional items that are, I mean, there's always inquiries, but there's not a signed lease or sale that I'm aware of.
Any other items for the agenda?
Got the goals matrix, add on to that.
What do you want?
The goals matrix, any reviews on that?
We've got that done.
Yeah, and we
No.
did make an approval for last, I
All
mean, we
set,
can always
okay.
Yeah,
add to it.
yeah, we
So
approved
just
it
a-
with the changes that were being
Yeah.
made.
So
Good to
then,
go.
And then the changes were made and I sent it out with the agenda.
next month, if we wanted to return to doing some reports or updates,
Yeah, I'll put the whole schmear back on again.
okay.
It'd be the updates on the comprehensive plan and
I think we
Gateway.
have plan commission and on there, and
So if this-
the joint meeting
this month yet.
The joint meeting is still listed as a report.
is a report, yeah.
Any other items? If not, item 10, the next meeting is scheduled for March 2nd at 3 p.m. I just want to make you aware of the fact that I have been contacted by Adams County and I'm standby for jury duty the whole month of March.
Oh, lucky.
You may. And without any further ado, I'll adjourn the meeting at 3:45.